Well, hi there, I'm Noah Bradley. This is Handmade House TV. And on this week's episode, I'm going to share with you a few insights that will ensure that you are thrilled with the front porch that you put on your future cabin. So stay tuned. Well, all right, once again, thanks for tuning in here to Handmade House TV. Today we're going to talk about porches, in particular the front porch on our future home. I could probably spend hours talking about porches. They're absolutely critical as far as the function, the enjoyment, and the overall design of your future home. And there's a few insights that I thought I would share with you with regard to ensuring that your porch is done correctly so that it doesn't look like a mistake. And it's absolutely amazing the number of errors, shortcomings I see in porches that are put on particularly log cabins, but also any type of handmade house. And this was brought about by one of my beloved members of the Handmade House Guild, who sent me some drawings and talking about his future project, his home that's currently under construction. And with regard to a couple of questions, and particularly the main errors, the main thoughts that I've seen other people do when they're building a porch. And one of the ways that I can judge whether or not someone sort of knew what they were doing when they built the home. And it's primarily associated with the roof of the porch. And so the first insight that I could provide for you is that when it's absolutely critical to design your porch, your whole home on a piece of paper to get the elevations correctly. That is the perspective as you walk around the outside of the home. You want an attractive home. So many people, when they're drawing plans for a porch, they're so focused on the floor plans, square footage of it, that they don't really take a good look and think through the entire porch. So the more effort you put into the design on paper of what your future home will look like, the more pleased you will be with the whole project. And you don't have to do it on paper. I prefer doing it on paper, but you can do it on a computer as well to give yourself a good visualization of it. So, and also that once you get the design going and you're actually in the construction of your home, you also want to be able to free yourself from that design paperwork. And that is that when you actually have that three-dimensional home going on in place, you want to always be able to pause and take a look to make sure that what you're building is what you're after. And another insight, this is the critical one here today, and that is that when you are building a porch, you're building from the ground up. You build the foundation for it, you build the floor system for the porch, you put the columns in place, and then you build the roof on it. But when you're designing your porch, you want to design from the top down. You want to make sure that your roof looks good, that it's in the right place, and above all, that it doesn't stick out beyond the length of the home. It's amazing how many people will design and start the construction of their home, and they give little thought to what's ahead of them, and they will build the foundation, the floor system, the same length as the home. And therefore, when you get up to the roof, you want an overhang. You want the roof to extend beyond the dimension of your porch. And next thing you know, you have your roof sticking out past the roof, past the length of your home, which is a mistake. And it's blaringly an obvious mistake. And you want to prevent that. So you always want to hold your porch in a bit. Flush is okay, in a foot or two is much better, which means you need to pull in the length of your porch as well in order to accommodate that. Now, when it comes to designing the roof, you have actually two different options on your porch, and that is that you can put a shed roof off the front of it. A shed roof is very nice. It's extremely nice. Probably 75% of the homes that I've designed and built have a shed roof. It's basically just a simple single pitch that goes from your house downward to carry the rain away from your house and off of your porch and past that. There is a little decorative touch that you can add to it, and that's by putting hips on both ends of your porch, and that adds it's a little bit more complex as far as the carpentry goes. It'd probably take you an extra day to frame out the roof of your house. It probably cost you a couple dollars more when it comes to doing the roofing the metal roofing on top of the porch or whatever you choose to use. But it's not cost prohibitive. And this, by doing a hip roof on top of a porch, you add a little bit more of a decorative flair to your home. It brings it up in the scale of things a notch above a single plain shed roof. So when it comes time to you're doing the design work on your home, you might want to consider drawing in both to see which you like. And I can say that I have changed my mind repeatedly in this process. And again, when I'm actually building the home, I will actually put up rafters to demonstrate the difference between the two, walk around the outside, take a look at it, and see which type of roof I and the owner I'm working for choose to go with. Now, there's one other topic that I wanted to cover in this, and that is the angle braces that go from the porch post up to the header that all of the rafters rest in place. We have been conditioned in looking at country homes to expect to see angle bracing on our front porches. It is a decorative feature that we've come to see, and and when we're thinking of a little place in the woods or in the countryside, we imagine these angle braces to be in place there in order for the look. And I'm more or less neutral on them, and that they're first of all, they're not necessary. There's no functional need for them, and they are purely decorative. I've never once, and I've challenged other people to come up with where a porch failed because of not having angle bracings on that. 90% of, perhaps as much as 99% of the strength of the roof that is held above your head is all in how it is attached to the home. I have pulled out the porch post on many porches in the process of salvaging them or repairing them, restoring them, and it's amazing how that roof still stays in place. It'll sag a little bit, but it will not fall off. It's the purpose of porch post is to keep the roof from sagging. There is no purpose whatsoever for angle bracing outside. They're purely decorative, which is a demerit point for me. It's a negative that it's superfluous. It's something you're adding more to the cost of the project, the more time, more materials to it. And there's actually detrimental aspects with having angle braces on your porch. For one thing, is that when you're standing on the porch and you're enjoying your view, you're looking out, you have these angle braces that are in your field of vision. They're not doing anything other than blocking your way. And also that, and this might be annoying to some people, and if you've been watching here on Handmade House TV, you know I've been battling with birds lately. But whenever you have those little crock area where the braces come down, birds love to build their nest in there. And I love birds, but they create mess and problems. And so those angle braces also create the potential for bird habitat there. So how do I resolve all of these issues as far as a potential homeowner wanting angle braces and me perhaps leaning a little bit away from it because of the lack of need and the expense and mess perhaps of angle braces? And that is that when I build a house, I do my best to build as much of the house as possible, and then I'll come in and I'll cut some angle braces of varying sizes. Because even when you draw them in plans, sometimes in reality they look a little too big or a little too small, or the angle doesn't quite look right on them. And so what I'll do is I'll just cut a couple scrap pieces of wood and tack them in place, and then we all experience them for a day or two. We'll walk around the outside of the house, we'll look back, we'll see whether or not we actually like them or not, live with them for a bit. Stand up on the porch, see whether or not they really are a hindrance and a little bit of a claustrophobic feeling. And by the way, I do love braces. When it comes to timber framing, man, there's nothing better than the braces. The braces are actually one of the most attractive features. And I think that's because they're needed and they're not blocking your view. They're not in the way, and they're not a bird problem either. So it's not that I have something against angle braces, nor do I devalue in any way the strength that braces can bring to it. They're just not needed in a porch environment. I do have more that I could talk about on porches, and maybe I'll make a porch video here for you guys to cover other things with regard to the porch, in particular the floor and which direction to run it and the steps and how to put them tie them in together. But for today, let's stop with that. So we want to make sure, we want to design our home first of all on paper. We want to be amenable to changing it as it goes in place. We want to, once it gets in three-dimensional in front of our face, we want to spend the time to do it right. We don't want outside influences. It's okay to hear other people's opinions, but we want to stick with our own decisions. And we want to make sure that porch roof does not extend beyond the length of our house, and we want to consider whether or not we want to upgrade the aesthetics of it a little bit by putting a hip on it. And we want to really take our time and consider angle braces. Don't make a firm decision on that until it's time to actually install them. And at that point you can put it in, and by the way, you can always take them out at any particular time, and you can always add them in. You can build your home, you can move into it, you can enjoy it, and you can decide whether or not in a year or two to add those braces or not. Okay, well, that's it for this episode. This gives you a taste of what's within the Handmade House Academy. It's an 8-hour-long video course that I offer over at Handmade Houses, and people ask me what's in it, and it's basically stuff just like this. It's tips in order to ensure that things don't look odd in your house. It talks about things that other builders or other architects just aren't going to share with you, and observations from my experiences of working along with some fine craftsmen and exploring many vintage homes in order to discover what it is that makes them so attractive and enjoyable to live within. So consider signing up for the Handmade House Academy. It's just part of the Handmade House Guild package, and I look forward to seeing you here next week on Handmade House TV. Thank you guys so much for subscribing and sharing this video. We'll talk to you next week. Bye now.